Hello everyone. Today in this video we'll be discussing about chapter 1 lesson 3, that's about measuring and constructing angles. So of course you have an idea of the kinds of angles and how angles are formed. So let's see further, how can you measure and construct angles? This is lesson 3 from chapter 1. So to start with, let's first revise what is an angle. An angle is a figure formed by two rays. So you know how a ray looks like. It has one end point and one side line. It keeps continuing. Or sides with a common end point called the vertex. So an angle is formed when two rays meet with a common endpoint, which is called as the vertex. So an angle looks like this. As you can see, ray 1 and ray 2, these are two rays. So the point which they meet, the common point, is called as the vertex, and the plural of vertex is vertices. So to move on, we can name an angle in many ways. There is not a single way to say that naming an angle is right, but yes, you have to follow the correct order. So how can we name this angle? So as in the picture, the angle is angle ABC. So you start from one side and you finish on the other, or you can say it as CBA. So these are two ways you can read angles. So you read it from up, that's ABC, or you read it from down, CBA. But you cannot read this angle as BAC or BCA. You cannot do that because that doesn't make any sense, because BCA is here. BCA, it's not even an angle properly. So you cannot read it as angle BCA. You can either read it as ABC or CBA. Or if they have marked the angle with a letter, with a simple letter or a number, even we can read that angle as angle 1. So now you have learned three ways to read one angle. Either you follow the order from the first letter till the next, in order of the alphabetical letters A, B, C, or you call it CBA, the reverse method way, or you can name it by the number or the letter which they have given. In this case, it's angle 1. Okay, now you can see this picture. So this picture, they say, is a surveyor recorded the angles formed by a transit point T. So this point T is the transit point. So you know well what kind of point this is. This is called as the vertex, as the rays are meeting in that common point. So that's the vertex. And three distant points Q, R, S. So they have drawn the points, the distances. Okay, name three of the angles. So you have to name three angles. There are many angles in fact in this picture. So because they said three, so let's name three. This is according to me. Maybe your ideas or your view of this picture might differ. So maybe you will get three different angles. So as they said three, so we are naming three. So we can say angle QTR is an angle, or we can even say QTS is an angle, or we can also say angle RTS. So RTS is also an angle. This is because they said three. Now let's see what are some other ways which we can name these angles. You can even name the angle as STR. So instead of RTS, I named RTS here. So you can name it the reverse way, STR. And then also you can name it as RTQ. RTQ. Here you can see it QTR. We already named it QTR, so it's like the reverse RTQ. Okay, then we can also name it as STQ. Here we named QTS, so the reverse is STQ. Also, we can name it as angle 1 and we can name it as angle 2. So depending on the numbers or letters if they have given, we can name the angle. So now let's concentrate on the types of angles. These are the four types of angles you need to know for now. So the first angle is an acute angle. Acute angle is an angle which measures less than 90 degrees. The acute small angles, we call them as acute. All what you need to keep in mind is acute angles measure less than 90 degrees. The next angle is a right angle which measures exactly 90 degrees. It cannot be less than 90. It cannot be more than 90. It should be perfectly exact 90 degrees. So such angle is called as a right angle. The next is an obtuse angle, which is a big angle. So an obtuse angle measures more than 90 degrees and less than 180 degrees. So if you find any angle between 90, more than 90 and less than 180, that angle will be named as an obtuse angle. Obtuse angles are rather big angles. Then we have a straight angle, which is exactly 180 degrees. It should not be more than 180, it should not be less than 180, not even 179.9. No, even 179.9 is not a straight angle. It is not. If it's a straight angle, it should be exactly 180 degrees. So these are the four types of angles you need to keep in mind. Acute, less than 90, right, exactly 90, obtuse, more than 90, less than 180, and straight is exactly 180. Okay, now keeping that in mind, let's see how can we measure and classify an angle. Now the tool which we use to measure angle, this is called a protractor. A protractor is the tool used to measure the angles. So this is how a protractor looks like. Everyone has seen this, I hope. Okay, so moving to the question, find the measure of each angle, then classify each as acute, right, or obtuse. So first you will measure the angle and then say it is right, acute, or obtuse. Now first they want you to measure angle AOD. So angle AOD. First you need to make sure which angle are they asking. So they're asking about A, O, and D. So literally they're asking about this big angle here. Now as soon as you see, you can say that it is an obtuse angle because it's a very big angle. Now there are always two arms for an angle. So as two arms, two hands, an angle has two hands, okay? So one hand is hand D and another hand is hand A because O is the vertex, O is the center. So hand D and hand A. So make sure when you're measuring the angles, always make sure that the hand, any one of the hands should be on zero. It should be placed on zero. If they are not on zero, you cannot measure the angles properly. Rather, there is another way to measure it. So remember always when there are two hands of the angles, one of the hand must be on zero. So from this, we have hand D and hand A, whereas hand A is on zero. Okay, this is the zero, which means it should be straight. Okay, now if hand A is on zero, look where is hand D pointing at. It is pointing between 10 and 20. Between 10 and 20 is 15, or it is between 170 and 160. So between 170 and 160 is 175. Now as you can see, this is an obtuse angle. We cannot say it is a 15-degree angle because 15 degrees means it's acute. But this is an obtuse angle. So from this hand, you go this way. You go the counterclockwise way, the opposite side in which the hands of a clock move. So from here, you go here this way. So that reaches you almost already on 165. So angle AOD is going to be 165, which makes that an obtuse angle, or you can choose here. It should be either 15 or 165. Now obtuse angle, of course, you know, is more than 90. So you choose 165. You cannot choose 15. So it is an obtuse angle. Moving to the next one, angle COD. So angle C, O, and D. Now, which are the two hands of the angle? Hand D and hand C. Okay, is any one of the hands on zero? No, both the hands are not on zero. Now, when both hands are not on zero, what do? You take the values of which the hands, the numbers of on which the hands are on, and you subtract them. In this case, you can take the hand D is on 165 because it's between 170 and 160. So you can take 165 and check where hand C is. It's between 80 and 70. So which number is between 80 and 70? 75. So you subtract both of them. 165 minus 75. That will give you a 90 degree. Or you can even choose the number which is up. That's 15. Okay, and here the upper number is 105 because it's between 100 and 110, so 105. So 105 minus 15 will give you a 90 degree as well, but make sure that you choose the same. Either you choose the lower numbers or you choose the upper numbers. You cannot choose in one place the lower one and in another place the upper one. You can choose. If you're choosing the lower number here, you must choose the lower one here too. So 90 degrees, that makes it a right angle. Let's see some more examples. Angle BOA. So angle BOA, they're talking about this angle. So which are the two hands of the angle? Hand A and hand B. So is any one of the hand on 0? Yes, hand A is on 0. So where is hand B pointing to? It is pointing on 40 and 140. So if you move from here, that's if you start from here 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. So you choose 40. You cannot of course choose 140 because we never count inverse in a protractor. We don't count 170, 160, we don't count that. We go in the order. So 10, 20, 30, 40. You choose 40. Now, if you are confused whether to choose 40 or 140, look at the angle. It's AOB. It's a small angle. So it's acute. Acute angle cannot be 140 because it's big. So it has to be 40 degrees. So angle BOA is 40 degrees, which makes that an acute angle. Let's try one more. Angle DOB. So angle D, O, and B. So they are again talking about this angle. Now there are two questions to ask. What are the two hands? So the two hands are hand B and hand B. Second question, is any one hand on 0? No. So if it is no, you need to subtract. If it is yes, you just find where the other hand is and choose the number. But here, because it's no, so we need to subtract. So let's find out. Starting from here, hand D is on 165. If you want, you can choose 15 as well, no problem. I'm choosing the down number, so 165. And where is hand B? It is on 40. So because I chose the down number here, I'm choosing the down one as well here. Okay, if you are choosing 15 here, you choose 140. So 140 minus 15 will also give you 125. It's basically the same thing. Okay, so this is going to be 165 minus 40, which is going to give you 125 degrees. So that makes that an obtuse angle. So angle DOB is an obtuse angle. All right, so it's time to do some practice. Hopefully with practice you will understand much better. So let's start practicing. Okay, so starting with question number 1. Here we have, now these are kind of like you need to read and understand the question. It's easy, but you need to read it. So they said angle A is acute. Okay, this is what they said. Angle A is an acute angle. Angle O is an obtuse angle. Angle R is a right angle. So we have acute, which is angle A, and we have obtuse, which is angle O, and right angle, which is angle R. They said put angle A, angle O, and angle R in order from least to greatest by measure. So we have to arrange this from the smallest angle to the biggest angle. So we have acute, obtuse, and right. So from acute, obtuse, and right, which is the smallest angle? Of course, acute is small. So which is the corresponding letter to acute? It's angle A. So angle A comes first because it's acute. Then which is the next bigger one? Is it obtuse or right? Obtuse is the biggest one. So the next comes is right. So angle R, which is the right angle. Then comes finally the largest angle, which is angle O. So in from least to greatest, angle A is least because that's acute. Angle R is after that because that's 90 degrees. And angle O because it is more than 90 degrees. So if you arrange them in order, if you still have confusion, let me write this. This is going to be less than 90. This is equal to 90. And this is greater than 90 degrees. So from least to greatest. Okay. Which point is the vertex of BCD, of angle BCD? So to make it more clear for you, let me draw an angle first. So this is an angle. We have two rays and we have a common point. So they said angle BCD. So start naming it from here. Angle B, angle C, and B, C, and D. So angle BCD. They have two questions. Which point is the vertex of BCD? Vertex means where both of them meet. So this is the vertex, right? So which is that point? Point C. Point C. Now, the next question says, which rays form the sides of angle BCD? So, which rays are forming the sides of BCD? You can see this is a ray and this is a ray. So, how do you name these rays? You can name them as CB, and don't forget to put the sign of ray on top, and CD. So, these are the two rays. One ray, this is the second ray, ray 1, ray 2. So the first ray is CB and the second ray is CD. It's easy. Okay, number 3. Musicians use a metronome to keep time as they play. The metronome's needle swings back and forth in a fixed amount of time. Name all the angles in the diagram. So as you can see that it is similar to the example which we solved. So you can see that there are many angles here. So start by naming all the angles. So let's start by naming AOB first. So start that angle AOB. Now immediately write the opposite of that angle, the reverse order of that, BOA, because you can read this as angle AOB or BOA. So once you find an angle, immediately write the reverse of it. Okay. The next angle is angle BOC. So angle BOC, the reverse of it is going to be angle COB. So you can read this angle as BOC or COB. It's the same. Another angle is the bigger angle, the whole angle, angle AOC. So angle AOC, write the reverse COA, because we can even call it as COA. It's not necessary we call it AOC only. Now what is remaining? The two numbers. So the remaining is angle 1 and angle 2. That's it. So there are 8 ways you can name the angles in this picture. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. Use the protractor to find the measure of each angle, then classify each as acute, right, or obtuse. Okay. So they want you to find angle VXW. So first find out which angle are they talking about. They're talking about V, X, and W. So they're talking about this angle. Okay. Now, always, what are the two questions you need to ask? Which are the two hands? So the two hands are, one is V and one is W. Okay, these are the two hands. Next question is any one hand on 0? Yes, it is. W is on 0. So look where hand B is pointing at. So we start from this side, which means we need to count from 10. So 10, it is between 10 and 20. So which number is between 10 and 20? It is 15 degrees. Of course, you cannot say it's between 160 and 170, so I'll take 165. How can the small angle be 165? Cannot. Rather, even we are counting it backwards, like 170, 160. We don't count it like that. We count from 10. So from 10, it's between 10 and 20, which means it's 15. So that makes this an acute angle. Okay, moving to next one. Angle TXW. TXW. So they want you to talk about this big angle here, TXW. Okay, so the first question, which are the two hands? Two hands are hand T and hand W, right? Now, is any one hand on 0? Yes, hand W is on 0. So then where is hand T pointing to? So from W, you count this way. So it's between 100 and 110. So between 100 and 110 is 105. So that makes this an obtuse angle. Now could I choose between 70 and 80, which is 75? Now 75, because it's a big angle and you know it, obtuse angles are more than 90. So either it should be 75 or 105. So definitely you need to count it as 105 as it is an obtuse angle. It's not an acute angle, it's a big angle, more than 90. So it is an obtuse angle. Next is angle RXU. R, X, U. So they're talking about this angle here. Now again, just by the look of it, you can say that it is an obtuse angle. Now, but we need to write the measurement. So the two questions, which are the two hands, hand R and hand U? Is any one hand on 0? Yes, hand R is on 0. So where is hand U showing? It is showing you something between 70. Either it should be 70 or 110. Now because we are counting, the R is here, the hand of R is here on this 0. So you count from this side. So that means you will end up with 110. Or you choose between 70 and 110. So an obtuse angle is more than 90. So that means you need to choose between 100. You need to choose 110. Or the perfect way of reading it is, because hand R is on this 0 here, so you count from this upper side here. So you choose this number. If the hand was on this side of 0, you count from the lower numbers, because that 0 is here. So you count from the lower number. Okay. Let's move to a next question. Pendulum clocks have been used since 1656 to keep time. There's a pendulum clock. It swings back and forth, the pendulum, once or twice per second. Name all the angles in the diagram. So it's a similar question. You have to name all the angles. So start from any angle, which is easy, and then write the reverse immediately. So let me start from here. Angle J, M, K. So this is my first angle, angle J, M, K. So immediately write the reverse, angle K, M, J. Okay, then the next is K, M, L. So the next pair of angle are angle K, M, L. Immediately write the opposite, reverse, which is L, M, K. Next one, angle J, M, L. The whole angle, angle J, M, L. Write the reverse immediately so that you will not get confused and you don't need to keep searching for the angles. And so we are done with 6. And what about these numbers? So we have angle 1 and angle 2. Altogether there are 8 angles. Alright, this is easy, just that you need to write one angle and write the reverse and find out all. Okay, fine. This question now, again, use the protractor to find the measure of each angle. Then you have to say it's acute, right, or obtuse. Angle CGE. So angle CGE. They are talking about this particular line here. Now, to make it easy for you, let me draw it. CGE. So they're talking about this angle. So the two questions, always when measuring, ask the two questions. What are the two hands of the angle? And hand C and hand E. These are the two hands. Is any one hand on 0? Is any of the hand on 0? No. So what do you do when there is no hand on 0? You need to subtract. Okay, so let's subtract it. Of course, you need to write that inside the absolute values. Okay, so let's choose the number for C. Now I'm choosing 110. I'm choosing the number down. Okay, so that's a 110 minus, you subtract it. So because I chose the down one, so I'm choosing the down number here as well. That's 20. So 110 minus 20 will give me 90 degrees. So that makes this a right angle. We are choosing up, also it's going to be the same. You can take 70 minus 160. 160 minus 70 will give you 90 as well. So it's either you choose both up or both down, any way you want. Okay, now angle BGD. Let me erase this so that you will not get confused. Okay, angle BGD. So which angle are we talking about? Angle B, G, and D. So they're talking about this angle. I'm doing question number 13. Okay. BGD. So again, which are the two hands? Hand B and hand D. And is any one hand on 0? No, both the hands are not on 0. So if both the hands are not on 0, what do you do? you need to subtract. Put the absolute value lines. So take the numbers. So angle B is 160 here. So let me take it as 160 minus hand D is on 70. So 160 minus 70. So 160 minus 70 will give me 90 degree again. Don't put absolute value there. 90 degrees, which will again make it a right angle. If you look at it carefully, you can have, but it's like flipped, it's tilted a bit, that's all. Else you can simply mark it like so. See? It's flipped, that's all. Okay, now next question. AGB, angle A, G, and B. So they want you to find. Well, it's not a good idea to draw bare hand AGB. So they want you to find this angle. So always ask the two questions for yourself. Which are the two hands? Hand A and hand B. Is anyone hand on 0? Yes, hand A is on 0. So where is hand B pointing to? So the 0 is here, right? For this hand, the 0 is here. So you start counting from this side. So when you count like that, where do you end up? You end up on 20. So angle AGB is 20 degrees. So that makes this an acute angle. Or you can choose between 160 or 20. So do you think this angle, this small angle is going to be 160 degrees? It's an acute angle which is less than 90. So it has to be 20. So 20 degrees an acute angle. So that was the end of this part of your lesson. Definitely there's another part for your lesson. Hopefully you have understood this. If you're not clear, you can do some more extra questions. There are many questions in your book. Try doing some questions and then you can confirm your answers with me. So hopefully you have understood the video. Until we meet again in another video, keep